Welcome back. Welcome back. In this session, we're going to talk about the top 10 fastest careers in America. Top 10 fastest careers in America. And we're going to look at them real briefly, and then I'll explain a little bit about them. But if you notice, what I've said here is that three of them you don't need a degree, and maybe even more than that. So let's go ahead and look at the top 10 fastest growing careers in America right now. So let's go ahead and look at them. At the top, you'll see wind turbine specialist, right? Y'all see that? Wind turbine. And as you look at that, you'll see that when you go to the, you look at it carefully, it says here that you don't have to have a degree. Y'all see that? It says right here, it shows you the wind turbine service techs, the employment, the projected employment, the change, the earnings potential, and you do not need a degree. That's what they're saying. And the only thing I would say about that, you can't be scared of heights, because you're actually going to be climbing up those towers and servicing those towers. That's the number one fastest growing career in America right now. Okay. I've talked to the recruiter on this, and the recruiter told me the time it takes most people to come out with a degree, if you go into this industry, you'll be making $100,000 a year by the time you come out with a 4-year degree. And he's saying that's about in 2 or 3 years. And if you're willing to travel, you can make a couple $100,000 a year. So that's wind service turbine tech. And the thing about it also, they will train you. Okay. And there's a website called apprenticeships.gov. I'll do a little video on that later on. But you can learn more about various apprenticeships across America. Number 2, solar photovoltaic installers. Yeah, that's basically the installers of your satellites over your solar panels. That's all that is, solar panels. I don't know why they couldn't call it solar panels. Photovoltaic. That's one of those does a tongue twister that I know I didn't get right. I even looked at a video on how to pronounce it, and I still didn't get it right. But basically, what that is people who install your solar panels. And as you look, they got the employment, the potential growth. They got a 48% potential growth, the amount of money you can make, and again, you do not need a degree. Notice, so the first top two fastest growing careers in America, you don't need a degree. Okay. Moving on. Next one is nurse practitioners. We got the number of jobs, employment, percentage change, and a master's degree. Okay. Well, as we look through this list, you're going to notice something. There are really 3 categories here. There's just 3. IT, energy, and medical. That's the 3 fastest growing occupations right there. Number 4, data scientists. That's IT. You see the numbers. You got the percentage change and bachelor's degree. Then you got medical health managers, medical health service managers. Boy, there's over 500,000 of those people, right? And it's going to projected to go over 700,000. And you see the percent of growth, and you need a bachelor's degree. PAs, physician assistants, 153,000. And as you see, it's going right under 200,000. All these projected growths are 10 years. And as you look at it, the 29% change, master's degree. Computer information research scientist. I know y'all saying you skipped number 5. I'm gonna come back to number 5 because I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. You see the number, and also you need a master's degree. Then you got physical therapists, 108,000% of growth, associate's degree, and finally operation research analysis. That's IT. You see the amount. Now, little commentary. On the commentary, let's talk about the medical. Now, medical is always going to be hot. However, I got this a big however. Why do y'all think medical is real hot right now? There's a reason why medical is real hot right now. Okay. And that reason is simply that what's happening in the medical field is that and in America, period, is that the workforce is just getting older. I don't know if y'all noticed that. That's basically what's happening. The workforce is getting older. And so what's happening, Americans are getting older. You need more medical personnel. So it's a hot field right now. Now, if you pay attention, have y'all ever noticed I call them the corner store emergency rooms. Have y'all seen those? All the corner store emergency rooms? How they have all the emergency rooms on the corner everywhere. It's not just at the hospital. Like the emergency room now is an industry. There's an industry for emergency rooms. Why? Because we're getting older. Baby boomers, 1948 to 1964, baby boomer. I just so happen am a baby boomer. And then nowadays, what's the average family? The average American family, how many kids are we having per family? 2. That's what's going on. 2. We have 2 kids, we're done. That's what's happening there. Well, I say we, but I'm really talking about y'all. A lot of y'all have 2 kids, and then y'all done. Baby boomers weren't doing that. Somebody told me, I was in a workshop, somebody said to me, well, that's because, right now, or, economy and blah, blah, blah. I said, man, some of these people were having babies out of the Great Depression, man. What are you talking about? Man, what you talking about, the economy? Man, people having 7, 8, 9, 10 kids. I mean, it's just what it is. Think about it. Talk to your grandparents, some of y'all. How many kids your grandparents had? So that makes up part of the economy. On a side note, this is a big side note. This is not what the video is about, but I need to mention this to y'all. What's really going on with Social Security? Yeah, y'all hear the politicians always talking about Social Security. All right. And I probably need to do a separate video on this because I don't want to talk too much about it. But what's going on with Social Security? What's the problem with it? They say keep telling you it's running out of money. Why? Well, I already gave you the answer. Baby boomers. The baby boomers having all those kids. Now the baby boomers are at retirement age. So what's happening is they're running out of money because now all the baby boomers are collecting that Social Security. Now here's a problem. The government was supposed to be saving that money. How many of y'all really thought the government was saving money? Come on. You really thought the government was saving money? If you believe the government was saving that money, I got a rock somewhere around the house I can sell you. Okay? No, they weren't saving no money. They were spending the money. That was part of the budget. That's what's going on with Social Security that they don't want to tell you. They spent the money. Yeah, our political superheroes spent the money. Yeah, they robbed us. That's what they did. So what's happening now, the ones who are working, who only having 2 kids per family, are paying more, going to be paying more. Eventually, they're going to try to get you one way or another. They're going to try to get you one way or another. I know we complaining about the tariffs, and I know that's a Donald Trump thing, and a lot of y'all hate Donald Trump. But here's the point. You better help those tariffs work, because if those tariffs don't work, where's the government going to get money from? Come on, help me out here. Where the government going to get money from? From you, the taxpayer, because they spent the money. That's part of the thing that nobody's telling you about the tariffs, is that because they spent the money in Social Security, Donald Trump has to create a new form of income for the United States government, and that's tariffs. And we have to get overcharged. Maybe I'll do a video on that and talk about the history of tariffs and how we got here. But anyhow, I just wanted to make a commentary on that. So as you're paying attention, right, to the medical being hot, the other one that's hot is IT. IT is hot. IT always going to be hot. AI is getting hot right now. But here's the thing. The reason why I skipped over number 5, and I could skip over a couple of other IT, because where it says over here on information security analysis, bachelor's degree, I totally disagree with that. Totally disagree with that. Here's my reasoning. I mentioned in another video, I did 15 years in the colleges, right? In this education administration. Here's the thing that most people don't know. Do y'all not know that when they put a degree in the catalog, right? That degree in that catalog has to get proved and has to go up through channels. And they don't do that every year. They might do it every 2, maybe 3 years. And then it goes up through the federal system. Then it has to come down into accreditation. And once it gets accredited, that whole process is about a year. So here's the problem. If you're in the IT field, what happens in the IT field on a regular basis? It upgrades. There's upgrades, updates, and all that in the IT field. What you learned last year is probably a slightly different this year, what you learned 2 years ago. So what's happening is you go get a degree. And before I say this, I'm not telling you not to get an IT degree. I'm just telling you reality of life. If you go out and get a degree, a bachelor's degree in IT and information security, and you're high speed, right? You get it done in 2.5 years, right? That what you learned in those 2.5 years, you're high speed, because most people ain't gonna get it done. It's gonna take you about 4 years. You know, in 4 years, that what you learned has changed. Same thing if you're high speed and you get done in 2.5 years. So what's hot? IT, certifications. Certifications are hot. Certifications are as valuable, in many cases, more valued than degrees. To get immediately employed, you need those certifications. I'm not saying not to go get the degree. I'm saying to get immediately employed, you need certifications. That's what's hot. That's hot in the IT field right now, because what? They're always updating, upgrading. Okay. I worked at a place one time, and the guy who's running our IT department, I worked for a state agency. The guy who's running our IT department didn't even have a degree. You know what he had? Bunch of certifications. I mean, and he was a master certifier. In other words, not only was he had certifications, he can certify other people. So we were hiring people, because I was working in the HR department at the time. We were hiring people with bachelor's degree in IT, but he was way ahead of them. And they had bachelor's degrees. So he would have to certify them, but he didn't even have a degree. He was a master certifier. Certification is the way to go in IT. So IT is hot. And you're in the IT field, understand that certifications are hot. Research certifications and find them. I went up to last one I'm going to talk about is energy. Look, whoever controls energy controls the world. That's the reality of it. You know, we sit back, let's do this and all this other crazy stuff about energy. You know, let's go totally electric. You think Russia going totally electric? You think China going totally electric? Of course not. So their instruments of fighting war is going to still be better, because we right now still don't have the capacity right now to go totally electric. Okay, we just don't. We need all energy. So energy is always going to be hot. Energy is always going to have. That's why it finishes. 3 of these are dealing with, 2 are dealing with energy. You know, wind turbine service tech, solar photovoltaic installers. Those are energy related. So those always going to be hot, right? And there's one last thing I want to show you before we move on, and not to try to keep you. Hopefully this pulls up, and y'all can see this. Apprenticeships. This is something apprenticeship.gov. Right here, this is a site called apprenticeship.USA, apprenticeship.gov. You could go in here and research for apprenticeship jobs. Now, the reason I bring this up is because, let me hit you with something. You don't need to have a degree to be successful in America. Right now, there's companies, as you can see on this site, there's companies that will pay you and train you Yeah, I said it. I said, you heard me right. They will pay you while you getting trained. And then once you come out of your training, which is called apprenticeship, they'll employ you. This is hot right now. And on this site, look right here. Average starting salary for apprenticeship is 80 grand. That's average starting salary. So there's some people making more. Lifetime earning advantage, 300K. Okay. 90% employment retention, right? Okay. 800,000 plus apprentices annually across the nation. That one I mentioned, the one at the top, the one that deals with the installers. There's apprenticeships for those. All you do is go on here and research it. I am a job seeker. You get started. You click on that. It brings it up, right? Then you just go in here. It talks about a little bit here, and it says find the apprenticeship. And you just can click right here, find you apprenticeship, and whatever you put in, you just come on, next page. It comes up. It's moving a little slower, but you could go on here and search you for apprenticeship right here. You just search, and then what it'll do, it'll bring up all the apprenticeships across America. That's all you got to do. You type in the zip. You do not have to have a degree to be successful. And there's other things out there too. Real estate brokers. I know the real estate market is not as well. I just so happened the day before yesterday, I was talking to our real estate broker, and he said all was well with him. So it depends on the real estate broker. Okay. So there's options out there. You should not be struggling. If you tell yourself you're not going to make it, guess what? You're not going to make it. That's how it works. As long as you put an effort in, you will be all right. There's too many opportunities out here in 2025. Again, that's apprenticeships.gov.